The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Writer's Block Podcast NH. This is a podcast designed by writers for writers on the journey to being published. Joined Mandra, Miss Cornet.
It was so healthy and nutritious.
Deborah Monk.
Can we open each podcast with a dance number?
Shelly Devlin.
It was so full of inspiration and sparkles.
Every Tuesday morning live on YouTube. And make sure you subscribe to catch the podcast anytime on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, or your favorite podcast catcher. It's time to be inspired, feel empowered, and be well with the Writer's Block Podcast NH.
And welcome to the Writer's Block Podcast. I'm Mandra.
I'm Debbie.
And I'm Shelly.
Thank you for joining us at the Writer's Block, where our mission is to inspire, empower, and help people be well. We're streaming live on Facebook from the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe on this Tuesday morning, and we are going to do a few of our favorite books show. You know how on Oprah, back when she had her TV show, she'd do a few of my favorite things at Christmas time?
Yeah.
And some very lucky audience members would have them tucked underneath their seats. Do you remember that?
Everyone would get presents.
Everyone got presents.
Yes,
Yeah.
everyone got presents.
Like a Cadillac Eldorado?
I remember the Pashmina one when Pashminas were like the hottest thing, those scarves, and everybody had like a pink Pashmina under there.
Wow. Shall we check under our chairs?
No, you're getting nothing.
Oh.
And you'll like it.
Amanda she wore her pink pashmina,
Yes.
but
I
she
did.
did not bring us one.
No, I didn't. But I'll bring you some treats next week. So we're going to talk about our favorite books at
Yes.
this holiday time that might be great gifts to give. And
It was really hard.
wasn't
To
it?
choose,
Was it
right,
hard?
to choose one.
I
Because
just
you went-
stared at my bookshelf going, I don't know which one to pick.
I'm
Correct.
going to be giving out so many copies of Well-Behaved Women Coming Undone. It's not even funny.
Wow.
You are?
Because that's your favorite book?
Well, it's the one I'm promoting right now.
Have you read it?
It's none of your damn business. Don't ask a question you don't know the answer to.
We know the answer.
That's why I asked
It's
the
no.
question.
The answer's no. Yeah, maybe sometime I'll tie him
P.S.
up and read it to him.
I read
P.S.
enough of the back of it to be able to sell it effectively.
Here's my shameless plug. I went out with, I have sort of a girls' night out group, and they each got their, not only the book, but the wine glass.
Did they like it?
They loved it in the
good.
bag. Yes.
Good.
So that was,
It does
was
make
their
a good
gift.
Christmas gift.
yes, it does.
Should that be your favorite book, Deb?
My own book? Oh, I didn't think of that.
Well, Deb,
no.
you have 3 to choose from.
Right?
Well, so, Shelley, why don't you tell us what's your favorite?
Well, again, there were so many, but I
Yes.
decided that if there were 2 of the same book on the bookshelf, that must be
A sign.
one of my favorite books. So
You had 2 copies of that?
I have 2 copies. 2 copies.
Tell us what it is.
So
Is that Curious George?
it's the same colors as Curious George. Good call.
Do you think he read that one, maybe?
It's the gold book of yes attitude. The little gold book of yes attitude. And this is what I love about it. Not only do I love to hold a book,
Yeah.
but it has like a linen cover.
Yeah.
It has its little built-in, like,
Oh, the
bookmark,
ribbon.
the ribbon bookmark.
Yes.
And I didn't realize until I was going to, overanalyze the shit out of this for the podcast this morning is why it was my favorite book. There were 2 on the bookshelf. And then I love
The feel.
of
I
a real
know.
book.
Which the
Oh,
e-reader
absolutely.
is wonderful and convenient for traveling and all that, but I really do feel like we've gotten away from the magic.
Right. It's
And we
that
don't have-
tactile
Yes.
experience of
Agreed.
turning the
And
page.
if you feel like you get kind of sucked into that world, there's a tangible world that you're holding in your hand that you get pulled into.
And then you know that you and I always have our Post-its. So, I mean, how can you post?
Shelley
I mean,
has like 10
Right,
Post-its
but you
sticking out
can't
of
post
that.
your Kindle.
I mean, technically you can. There's a way.
Supposedly.
But it's,
Yeah.
if you're technologically challenged, this is much nicer.
Yes,
right?
tactile is-
We can
yes.
see it, we can hold it, we can feel it. But what I love
So
too.
who wrote that book?
Jeffrey Gittimore.
Okay.
And what's the little tagline on
the
it?
tagline? How to find, build, and keep a yes attitude for a lifetime of success.
Okay. So it's
Wow.
kind of inspirational.
Yeah.
Yes. But
Shocking.
from every page. But I love you don't need to start from page 1. I mean, literally from the inside of the book cover. You know,
Right.
they have quotes. It's your thoughts behind the words you speak that create your attitude. Like you could just open it for 1 second and be having a shitty day and be like, okay.
And
I
that's
need
a
to
good
turn
point.
this around, right? And when you go through, Deb and I always talk about must have like 47 fonts. It breaks
Right.
every rule of fonts in
I
a book.
know.
It has every font imaginable. It has short chapters. It has long chapters. It
Multiple
has things that are
colors.
highlighted to remind you that how can I be more positive at work?
Did you highlight that?
I did not highlight that.
It came
It came
highlighted.
like that
Wow.
in the print.
And just so you know, every single color that you add adds cost.
Thanks for the reality check, Deb.
Well, I'm just letting you know.
That's one expensive book right there.
Right.
I see like 5 colors.
Exactly. And colored pages, too.
Right.
As well
And
as
the-
colored fonts.
and thicker paper.
And thicker paper.
How much was that book?
1995.
Wow. What year did it come out?
Well, geez, Deb, I'm not prepared
In
for
the
all these
year
questions.
2000.
Are you sure?
207.
207.
Wow.
Yeah. But I love because it's like something that you can like carry in your purse, you know, leave it in your car, definitely by your nightstand.
when you feel like you need a
When you
little
feel
yes
like you need
attitude,
a
you
shot
just-
of inspiration, a
Yeah.
yes attitude, because we can all go with a no attitude.
Is it a book you got to read from start to finish?
No.
Or does it have just little quotes in it where you can...
You could almost
Well,
just
it's not
open
just
it up
even
anywhere,
quotes.
or-
It's exercises. It's little stories on how to turn your attitude around. It's there's actual exercises.
Read
Like-
us a little.
Yeah, give us an example.
Okay. All right.
Ooh,
Let me
she's-
find
yeah.
you one. Let me find you one.
There's cartoons in there.
Oh my God, this
Wow.
is awesome.
Well, if it's
Okay.
a
It
has
picture
car- it
book,
has
that's a
cartoons.
whole different thing.
Well,
I'm
it does.
interested.
It has cartoons.
Jonathan, it has you written
know,
all over it.
What do you need to build a stronger belief system in my profession, in my company, in myself? And it gives you little lines to fill in. And the cartoon is hysterical because it talks about lessons in life and how you put Post-its. Do you guys have Post-its on your mirror?
Oh,
Like where you get
everywhere.
ready in the morning?
No.
Yes.
No? This one, this little guy in the cartoon says his Post-its are marry Madonna, win the lottery, and buy the Empire State Building. So he's like,
Oh,
he's
those are his
shooting
goals.
big. Yeah, his
Yeah,
goals.
those are his, like-
He's shooting high.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Right?
She must really want syphilis. Is that a... No, the Empire State Building's a dirty building. It's a dirty building.
You're referring
Okay,
to
I was
Madonna.
like, where is that going? Where is that going?
Who would want to marry Madonna?
Well, this was in 2007. She was a material
2007,
girl.
So she, right.
I think that
No,
was
that
20 years
was
prior.
yeah,
to
that was like
97?
like,
2007 was
80s
probably when she
Material
did her
Girl.
relaunch where she was
Oh, right.
out there touring again.
Yeah. The question is, what becomes the last name?
Oh,
Never.
I don't get that.
We digress.
Yeah. She has no
yes.
last name. It's just Madonna.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay, so
All right,
listen.
go.
Here's one where it says life happens. Through the course of living life, illness, bad breaks, fender benders, traffic, bad weather, rejection, something's not going your way, a lost game, lost money, arguments, general frustrations can bring you down at any unexpected moments and any unexpected notice. Anybody can have a good attitude on a good day. Anybody can have a great attitude on a great day. The determination of your attitude takes place when you can have a good or great attitude right after a bad event, a bad time, or when you perceive you're having a bad day. When things go wrong, you have to be right. When things go bad, you have to be good. When things are negative, you have to be positive. When life says no, you have to think yes.
Yes.
So why don't you read that book every time you have your little writer's block episodes? And then they'll all go away and you'll just start writing.
Problem solved. Just take
I
out
think
your
she
book.
has
Done.
done that.
Done. I'll carry it with me from now on.
Well, you have 2 copies. You don't have to worry about your purse getting stolen.
But listen, there's a lot of books that talk about that talk about, you know, having
Positive
a positive attitude and sort of those self-help books. Why that book? Because I'm sure you probably read some others.
Well, for me,
Yeah.
because my attention span might be a little bit short, this is what works for me because it's short pieces. I don't have to go through and read the entire book to turn my attitude around.
Got it.
I can just open a page and be like, all right, put your big girl pants on.
And deal
suck
with
it up,
it.
buttercup.
You
and deal
just
with
seem
it.
like the kind of person who wakes up happy to be alive every day. I can't understand
It's a
why you
facade.
would
It's a
need-
beautiful facade. But just add a sparkly necklace, a little bit of hairspray, some lipstick.
Yeah, he obviously hasn't watched your truck talks.
No.
Or when you're walking around your house and your hair's ching.
Exactly.
I
You're
don't
missing
get
that.
fixated on hair. Sorry. It's
You
not
don't
my
have
thing.
any hair.
My beard's pretty glorious.
It really
Well,
is.
it would be better if I fixed it for you, but
Live,
I was
that'd be
vetoed
fun.
on that. Live, that would be great.
That's
Wouldn't
such
it
a
be?
good idea.
That'd be
All
amazing.
our
podcast they could do that.
listeners love.
Oh,
to
now we're
just
gonna have him
tune
on our
into
show?
YouTube. Watch me put some makeup on Jonathan's face.
All right, so that's Shelly's
So that's my favorite book. One of the hundreds, really.
Yeah. No, it was. It was definitely hard to choose.
Yes.
Being writers, we're also readers, and it was hard to pick one.
And there are different genres. There's fiction, your favorite fiction book, your favorite
Right.
inspiration book.
Right.
Deb, what do you got?
So I went for fiction, and I went for Kristen Hanna's On Mystic Lake. And I'm going to read you this passage. This is from a 5-year-old's point of view. Her mother recently died. Do you want me to say what I like about it before or after I read it?
It's up to you. Do you want to tell us?
All right, I'll do it after.
Okay.
Read fast.
Take your time.
Izzy clutched the doll to her chest, stroking her pretty yellow hair with the 2 fingers she had left on her right hand, her thumb and her pointing finger. At first it sort of scared her when she figured out that she was disappearing. She'd started to reach for a crayon, and halfway there she'd noticed that her pinky finger was sort of blurry and gray. The next day it was invisible. She had told her daddy and Lurleen, and she could tell by the way they looked at her that it scared them too. And that icky doctor, it made him look at her like she was a bug. She stared at the 2 fingers that remained on her right hand. "It's going away, Mommy." She waited for an answer, but none came. Lots of times she imagined her mommy was right there beside her, and she could talk to her just by thinking the words. She wished she could make that happen right now, but it only seemed to happen at special times, at the purpley time between day and night. She needed to talk to her mommy about what happened the other day. It had been so bad. One minute she'd been looking at the pictures in her book, and the next she knew there was a scream inside her. She knew it wasn't good to scream in school. The other kids already thought she was stupid, and she tried really, really hard to keep her mouth shut. She clenched her hands into tight balls and squeezed her eyes shut so hard she'd seen stars. She felt so scared and lonely, and she couldn't breathe right. The scream had started as a little yelp that slipped out. She clamped a hand over her mouth, but it hadn't helped. All the kids stared at her, pointing and laughing, and the scream had come out. Louder, louder, loudest. She'd clamped her hands over her ears so she couldn't hear it. She'd known she was crying, but she had been unable to stop that either. The teacher grabbed Izzy's gloved hand, squeezing around all that nothingness. It made Izzy scream louder that she couldn't feel anything. Oh. And reading this was the first time that I remember, I'm going to cry, damn it.
Oh,
I know I can't help it. But it's the first time that I remember reading a book and thinking, wow, like somebody else explained what I sometimes feel.
Oh, my God.
And I thought how, it'd be easy to say a 5-year-old whose mom died was sad.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
But the little girl starts disappearing, and she starts wearing a black glove so that people can't see that she's disappearing. Oh, God.
And just the imagery.
I know.
Like, to talk about a little scream coming from a little body, but with such imagery and such, showing versus telling.
Right.
I mean, that was...
The purpley spot between.
I loved that.
Yes.
I loved
and
that.
that comes in later in the book.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you really connected.
Yeah, and there's a little 5-year-old girl, and I don't know when this book came out, 20 years ago. I'm sure I was an adult, but I thought that's a feeling that we've all had, that we can all understand, a feeling like people don't see parts of us.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And I just thought, that's why I want to be a writer. I want to do that for other people. Blah.
Yeah, you're explaining something before you read the crap next time, because there's no crying on the podcast.
I would have cried then before I read it.
Rule number 1.
It's so silly.
Rule number 1.
Yes.
Now, how many times have you read it?
The whole
know?
book? Mm-hmm. I don't tend to read books over and over again. So
Okay.
I think only once.
You're a one and done.
Yeah,
One
but
and
I don't.
done.
I've had so many books in my whole life, and I've had to pare down so many times. But I keep one bookshelf where all my favorite books stay, and that will always be on it.
Did you read?
I love it.
When did you read it?
I think I lived.
Before writing Julia Stone?
Oh,
or-
way before. I think I lived
Way-
in California at the time.
Oh, wow.
I'm guessing. Kristen Hanna is powerful. We can see it came out in 1999. Yeah, so I was living. It was before. Yeah.
19 years ago.
And she still can cry reading
Oh,
that
it's
little
so silly.
right?
But-
no, it's
and-
not silly, because that's why it's your favorite, one of your
Right.
favorite books, because
it's that
It hits
powerful.
you, which relates to your book, and you keep wondering whether it's going to connect with somebody, your memoir, and it's going
Well,
to
that's
connect.
the point. If if that is what I want to do. I want someone else to say, boy, I've never been able to explain those feelings. I've never had a way to envision them,
right,
or have anybody recognize them. And so that's what I hope to do. So if my book can do that for someone, then it's 100 times worth it. If it's just my own meanderings, who cares? It isn't. I don't want it to be about me. Even though it's a memoir, so it has to be about me. I kind of ride that line of,
right.
But that's what I want to do. I want someone else to say, oh God, that's what I've been feeling, and I don't. And when you don't have the words, right?
And she did it so well,
right?
And that's what you connected with.
Yes.
Yeah. And now you have to reapply your makeup.
I know.
Shelly, get on that funny.
Shelly Sparkle. Shelly Sparkle to the podcast table, please.
Hi, vey.
So, well, that's so powerful.
Yeah.
And that's what good writing and good books can do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It can bring it to all emotions. It should be able to bring it to all emotions.
Right.
And I think every writer wants to make a connection. They don't want to just write it to put it out there for it not to connect with anybody. Right?
Well, then it shouldn't go out.
It shouldn't go out.
Right. It should just stay in your
But
drawer.
that's what she keeps thinking.
I know.
But it's going to connect with more than one person.
Yes. It already has with just the few people that have read it.
So when Deb's memoir comes out, could somebody please videotape themselves crying and send it to her email? DeborahMonk.com. That would be great. Thanks.
Or happy.
Yeah. We're happy too.
Yeah. Any of that.
What do you got, Mandra?
All right. So this was definitely hard. And I'm staring at my bookshelf, and I could have picked so many favorites. But what I chose was The Secret Life of Bees by Sue Monk Kidd. And it's a story of a young girl who lost her mother when she was young in sort of a tragic accident in the home. And she goes on this journey to find out more about the story of her mother's life, because she was so young when the mother died. She didn't know much about, what the mother was like before, and all these questions. And the journey brings her to actually a family of black sisters that knew her mother, and they end up taking her in, and they happen to be beekeepers, and they have a honey business and all this. But there's a lot that I love about it. Part of it is it's set in 1962 South Carolina. So I already have that historical mindset of culturally what's going on in the South during that time. The little girl, or the teenager now, is white, and she comes to live with this literally sisterhood of black women. I also love that there were strong female characters, and there were those sister bonds were just so well done in the book that the characters really spoke to you and came to life, and you could see the sister love, and then how they brought this little girl into the family and made her part of it as she's going through this journey of kind of reconciling what happened with her mother. So that's kind of the backdrop. I'll read a little bit. Let's see. I could feel things unraveling around me, all the fraying edges of the dream world. Pull one wrong thread, and I would be standing in a wreckage to my elbows. Ever since I'd called T. Ray, I'd wanted so badly to tell Rosaline about it. To say, if you've been... sorry about that. Wondering whether my leaving has caused T. Ray to examine his heart or change his ways, don't waste your time. But I couldn't bring myself to admit to her that I'd cared enough to call him. I'm going to skip a little bit down. The wanting her was still in me, but it wasn't nearly so fierce and raging as before. Pulling on her gloves, I noticed how tight they fit all of a sudden. By the time I was 16, they would feel like baby gloves on my hands. I would be Alice in Wonderland after she ate the cake and grew twice her size. My palms would split the seams of the glove, and I would never wear them again. So those are her mother's gloves that she carries with her.
Wow.
And she sort of tries them on every once in a while.
Wow, we both picked love scenes about girls who lost their mother.
I know.
We couldn't have done that if we tried.
Totally creepy.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. And then just one other quick one. This is Lily again. In truth, I felt as if my life was stranded out on the high dive, about to leap into unknown waters, dangerous waters. I only wanted to postpone the plunge a while, to feel my mother's closeness in the house, to pretend I wasn't afraid of the story that had brought me here, or that she might go and surprise me the way she had in the dream. So she hasn't told the sisters really why she's there, but she's about to, and she's afraid it's going to just change the whole dynamics because they've taken her in. Little does she know, they know who she is and why she's there, but she's afraid that once she puts that out there, not only will it change how she's being loved in this new family, but also what she might find out about her mother.
Right.
Because she sort of has this very idyllic image of what and who her mother was.
She could be whatever she wanted her to be.
Right. And what that truth is actually going to be. So.
And when did you read it? How long has it been?
Oh, it's been years. I probably read it 10 or 15 years ago, which interestingly enough, I was not a mother then. So as I was I pulled it out and I'm flipping through it, I need to read it again because now being a mother,
yes.
And you think of your mother as your mother and you forget that she's a person too, and she was a different person maybe before you came along, and that's what Lily is figuring out. And it would never dawn on me, now I have a little one who just thinks of me as mom. And we'll find out that there's been kind of the good, the bad, the ugly.
Like there's been a life before.
There's been a life before, yeah.
And, we could do a whole show on mothers. Oh, we should do a show on mothers Day.
Good idea.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Well,
Jonathan, what's your favorite book?
My favorite book
Well-Behaved
is
Woman Coming Undone.
Jonathan Livingston Seagull. And I think I read the book because...
What is it?
Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
Yeah.
And it's a book about a seagull who isn't content with regular seagull life, fighting over food scraps and all that, and he decides to become very proficient at flying. And he pushes himself and pushes himself and pushes himself and gets so excited, and he becomes a really good flyer and goes back to the flock and tries to teach, hoping that there's people that are as ambitious about flying as he is, and he's outcast from the flock. And he ends up becoming so good, he moves into a higher plane, like another heaven, and realizes that there's all these different levels to life. And I think I read it at 12 years old.
I was going to say, when did you read this? Because your face is lighting up as you're telling us about
Quite literally
this.
changed my entire outlook on my entire life, starting at the age of 12 when I read the book. I only read it once, and I've lived my life a completely different way since the day I put that book down.
Wow.
So it was very powerful.
Yeah. Talk about a transformative book.
It's kind of funny too. My best friend, who I've been friends with since 6th grade, her favorite book in the world is Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
I've never heard of that.
I never heard of it either. No.
All right, you want to hear another funny coincidence?
Oh,
Sure.
Yes.
Deb and I had met for the first time, and we were just talking about our favorite movies, and I said, you've never seen my favorite movie. It's no big deal. Tell me what your favorite is. She goes, no, you have to tell me yours. And so I made her write hers down. We argued maybe for 5 minutes. So she wrote hers down, and I said, it's Summersby. And she held the Post-it note up and said Summersby right on.
No
way.
We both had the same favorite movie and still do.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, which I'm sure you guys haven't seen either.
No.
Right, Richard Gere.
Richard Gere and
Gere
Jodie
and
Foster.
yeah.
You want a good cry?
Oh, yeah, cried.
Yeah.
Ugly cry.
Wow.
Never seen that one. But I want to read the Jonathan Livingston Seagull book.
Yeah.
Just be prepared for your life to be changed forever.
I'm prepared.
You could
I like
possibly
it.
be a new me.
I knew.
Wow.
Dun, 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 dun. And
Oh my goodness. Well, at this holiday time, we hope you surround yourself with some of your favorite things and books. And again, great gift idea, Well-Behaved Woman Coming Undone.
thank you, Mandra.
Yes. Thank you for listening to the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. If you'd like to hear this episode again or share it with a friend, head to the UnitedPodcastNetwork.tv. That's UnitedPodcastNetwork.tv. You can find this podcast and the vodcast in case you'd like to watch it. Find this episode and all previous episodes on UnitedPodcastNetwork.tv. May you be inspired, feel empowered, and be well.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.